What is up, RPG nerds? This might be my favorite video I'll ever make. I am Brighton Nelson, also known as Daniel Butterfield Van Stein, and in this video, we will be ranking all the chapters in Octopath 1 and 2. I'm so hyped for this. This is going to be awesome. Just so you know, I'm going to rank them in order of Octopath, just like in all the other ones. So I want to do like Ophelia, and then Ochette, then Cyrus, and then Castti, etc. And one more thing is, if you want full-length descriptions of each chapter, go and check out, I'll link them in the end screen, but go check out the Octopath 1 version of this, the chapter ranking Octopath 2 version. Here I'm going to be more concise, but if you want a more in-depth look at each of the chapters, go check those ones out. But here I'm going to try to speed along because there's so many of these. But anyway, let's get right into this. So starting with the first chapter in the game. Wait, the first... Not in the game, you can pick whatever you want. The first chapter on this ranking is going to be Ophelia 1, which so many people don't really like, but here, I have this like ranking thing here, this sheet, but it's huge, so I need to find a place to put it. I'm going to be looking down, but that's why. Okay, anyway, whatever. Let me see where I put Ophelia, because there are a lot of names on here. All right, Ophelia 1. Oh, yes. S plus tier. Wait, I don't even have an S plus tier at the moment. Let me add one row above, because I always have an S plus tier. If you've ever been on this channel, you know I always have an S plus tier. Alright, let's just change the color real fast. Okay, cool. S plus tier for Ophelia 1. A lot of people are probably going to be like, what weed are you smoking? But I just love the story of the two sisters here. The dad, just very emotional. One of the most emotional Octopath chapters in my opinion, and if to have the best chapter, it's got to be emotional, have an insane plot twist, like absolutely insane plot twist, or be super epic. That's my thing for S plus tier. And since this is one of the most emotional chapters in Octopath, in my opinion, I'm going to be putting it in S plus tier. That's already a very controversial opinion right out of the gate, but you know what? I'm down for that. I am down for that. All right, let me cross. Okay, next is going to be Ochette 1, which I'm going to be putting in A tier. A very good introduction to her character, her story, but it's just, it's a fun little story, but it's nothing too impressive. It does a great job of introducing your character, introducing the main conflict for the rest of the chapter, rest of the story, sorry. But it's nothing way too crazy. It's fun, good story, but like A, it's very solid, but it's not outstanding, so I'm just going to put it there. Alright, let's move on to the next in A tier, which is going to be Cyrus 1. One of my favorite Cyrus chapters, probably my second favorite Cyrus chapter. It does a great job of introducing the stuff that's going to be in Cyrus' chapter. I did think that the Far Reaches of Hell was going to be a little more interesting, but it's okay. It's all good. So I was really hyped with this chapter. It does a great job of introducing Cyrus as a great town, has a lot of cool stuff, great introduction, builds a lot of intrigue. My biggest problem is there's this whole little convoluted side story about like cheating and stuff, and it kind of was just there. It was kind of weird. Otherwise, I'd probably put it higher on A tier, but I thought this part was a little bit odd, and I didn't really like it very much. But other than that, it's a very solid chapter. It does a great job. Just like with Ochette, it's not like outstanding, but it's great for what it is. Alright, let's move on to Castti 1, which is going to be right here. It's not as fun as Ochette 1, but it does an even better job of introducing Castti, her character, her story. And originally I had this like high B tier, but then just actually once the whole story plays out, you can look back and be like, oh, this was a really good introduction. I mean, like, Ochette's right away, I was like, okay, this is a good introduction. But once you have pieced together Castti's whole story, you look back on this and you're like, this was a dang good chapter. So I'm going to be putting it in A tier. Not the top A tier, just like the middle, just like these other two. All right, next let's move on to Tressa 1, which, pretty mid. Going to be bottom of the B tier. It's not C tier by any means. I think the very end of the chapter is fun, and Mick and Mac are like the Biggs and Wedge of Octopath, so that's kind of fun, returning characters. But honestly, it's a little fun, lighthearted story, but it's nothing all that impressive. So I would put it in C tier, except I still really love. It introduces Captain Leon, and also I love that she picks the notebook instead of anything else, because that just really tells so much about Tressa. The rest of the chapter is very, very, very mid, but just that last 3 minutes of the chapter is great enough to put it in B tier instead of C tier. All right, what is this going to be? Temenos 1? Temenos 1, right? Yes, Temenos 1 is A tier. Yes. Okay, originally I had this C tier, I think, even. At first I was like, this mystery makes no sense, it wasn't solved, everything's confusing, Crick kind of just exists and all this. And then I started to realize I freaking love Temenos and Crick. The mystery was really well done once you actually finish chapter 2. This is another one like Castti where you have to go, it isn't the best right when you play it, but when you look back on it after you've done it, you can tell it's a great setup. And it sets up so many things, even for the final chapter. So this is just a very, very solid chapter 1 and chapter in general. Next is going to be Olberic 1, which is easily one of my least favorite chapters in the Octopath series. The first 3 minutes is okay. Actually, it's really good. But the problem is it was super underwhelming because some of the chapters are just boring and then you're like, okay, that was kind of bad. But this one is offensive, kind of, because it takes such a cool concept. One of the coolest in the game, it, kind of introduces, the town where you fight Galdera and stuff. And then all of a sudden, you just have to save some stupid kid. It's not like he's an interesting kid, even. And, yes, saving kids is good, but even Ophelia, too, does a better job of saving kids. And that's a pretty bad chapter in and of itself. And it's just so disappointing that it goes from being good to being bad. I am going to put it higher in C tier, middle of C tier, because the first few minutes are very good, but the rest of it's trash, going to be honest. And it's kind of weird because we know he's Olberic and the town doesn't know he's Olberic, and it's supposed to be this reveal, but it's not a reveal, it's just kind of stupid, so I don't know. Anyway, Osvald 1 is going to go in A tier as well, right here. Osvald 1 was fun. I will say this one, above Cyrus. It was fun. It was a little underwhelming because I thought breaking out of prison would be more interesting, but it did a great job of it's all because of that flashback. It's all because of the trial. All that is what makes it in A tier and what makes it above Cyrus. However, the breaking out of prison wasn't as interesting as I was hoping. I just felt with how good a lot of these stories are, I thought the prison was going to be very interesting, going to be a really big part of his story, but I just feel it was very middling. So if they did the prison right, I have the same problem with Therion chapter 3, the black market's kind of dumb, but if they did those two right, they would probably be S+, S tier, if they just did a really very, very, very good job. But honestly, all it is a hidden staircase. No offense, but what type of prison just has a hidden staircase that's covered by literally nothing? I don't know. I don't think this is that great. I mean, yes, it's on an island in the middle of the sea, so they don't think that you're going to be able to escape, but I just thought Osvald chapter 1 was a lot. I had really high expectations going into it, and it's still good, but I thought it was going to be better. Anyway, alright, Primrose chapter 1 is one of my favorite Octopath Traveler chapters of all time. By the way, if I'm taking a second, I'm crossing them out so I don't accidentally, so I can just find them quicker. But chapter 1, Primrose chapter 1 is going to be S+ tier for me. This is probably, nope, not probably, this is my favorite chapter 1 in the whole series still. It is so good at building intrigue. It was so epic. Helgenish is probably still my least favorite villain in the whole series. I mean, the guy from Cassti's story is pretty bad. The guy from Olberic's story is pretty bad, but still Helgenish is just so stupid. I hate him. Anyway, it does a great job of building intrigue. It does a great boss fight, great characters. It's emotional. It does all the things very well. And it's not my favorite chapter. There's still a few other chapters I like better than this, but it is still one of my favorite chapters in the Octopath series, even to this day. Alright, next one will be Partitio 1, which is literally right behind Primrose 1. I love Partitio 1. It's literally so good, honestly. It tells the story of this town over a long period of time. You get to see this town be built up. You get to see Rock and like who he is. You get to see Partitio, and you just get all this character development, all this world building, and it's really cool. It's kind of like how I feel about Ophelia. A lot of people don't love it, but it just does so good at developing everything that needs to be developed. So I really like that about this. Speaking of good development, another one is going to be Alfyn 1, which is in A tier, not too high in A tier. It does a great job of developing Alfyn's character and stuff, but it isn't anything, just like these ones, it's a great job of introducing the character, but it's not like a phenomenal job introducing the character like some of these three. It does a good job. I will say the boss is boring. The actual dungeon is boring, but the setup, the best friend's sister, just learning about Alfyn. I really did enjoy this chapter. Easily the worst Alfyn chapter, but still a very good chapter nonetheless. Next is going to be Agnea 1, which literally I'm putting at the very top of A tier. Agnea 1 was fantastic. It was really fun. Just the amount of, like, there's a lot of emotion in this because there's so many... yes, the actual gameplay of this chapter is mid at best, but it's kind of like Alfyn's story, the same vibe as Alfyn's first story, but just even better. A lot of emotion with the family of Agnea, the whole town. I love games where there's just a town that backs up the person. Like, if all of us could have, like, a town backing us up, kind of like this, y'all, this world would be so much better if we all were like had that support system. Kind of like Tales of Vesperia vibe to it, honestly. I just love when, like, there's a whole town that really cares about someone, because sadly that's not really how real life is. So I don't know, I just loved it. And the emotional moment when she left and everyone was like pitching in the money to try to get her to achieve her dream, even though they obviously don't have that much. It was just amazing. I love this chapter. Not like an S tier, but definitely top of A tier. Alright, next is going to be Therion 1, which is pretty good. Therion 1, where did it put it? I can't find it, y'all. Is this... Give me a second. I promise I'll find this. Therion 1? Did I not type it? I might have not typed it. I'm just going to... Yeah, I'll just put it down. I'm going to be putting it right here, I think. Yes. Maybe? Yes. Sorry about that. Alright. I think that the twist at the end of the chapter is pretty fun. It's a fun... I'll put it right there. Yeah, that's a good place to put it. The twist at the end of the chapter is fun. It really does kickstart his chapter. It's fun breaking into the mansion for the first time. You do that way too many times in Therion's story, but for the first time, it's new, it's fun. And yeah, the plot twist at the end is kind of cool. It's a good story. It introduces Therion well. The problem is most of his chapters are basically like the same thing over and over again. A little bit, so sadly, but this is a good introduction to Therion. Even though I don't really like Therion, I'm going to be putting it right here. It's good. It is a little bit unbelievable because if you take like Tressa along and convince Tressa to break into, even though she's like a merchant, it's kind of some plot holes there, but otherwise it's good nonetheless. All right, not Therion. I just did Therion. Throné chapter 1 is an easy S tier. Throné is very interesting. The plot twist here is one of the best in the game. It's like a Hunger Games vibe to it, like these, and it introduces all of this deep lore and stuff for the upcoming Throné chapters. It's very, very, very good. One of the best chapter 1s in the series, not the best. I think it's the fourth. Yeah, so these are the best chapter 1s, of course, and then it's number 4. But yeah, it's a great chapter 1, a great introduction to her story. It's not personally as good as like these 3 in my opinion, but it is super, super good. I think like Ophelia has more emotion. Partitio, just like you get to see a town being built up for years, and Primrose's is just super epic. And I think Throné, I mean, I've still put this at the very top S tier. I just don't think it's quite S plus tier for me. Anyway, all right. Speaking of Good chapter 1, so that is not going to be Honnet's chapter 1. Honnet, it's better than Olberic's chapter 1. But it's just, I don't know what their obsession was with. Talk to some people, go to a forest, kill a beast. I say this in every video I ever talk about Honnet, but it's not interesting to me. And her master's kind of funny and cool, but it wasn't even that emotional to me because Honnet is like a funny character, but it's hard for me to really resonate with any of her emotions when she's like, "Come in if thou darest." And I mean, I like her character. I think she's hilarious, but I don't think she's a relatable or very emotional character. I think she's more just like comic relief in a weird way type character. So I don't know. Like, the story wasn't very good. The gameplay wasn't very good. It didn't disappoint me like Olberic's, but it also was just very, very mid. I mean, I'm still glad I played it, but it's pretty bad. All right, Hikari Chapter 1 is very good. I'm going to be putting this... Oh my gosh, did I forget? How many did I just forget to type? This is honestly embarrassing. All right, Hikari Chapter 1 is going to be right here. I love Hikari Chapter... I keep changing my mind here. Yeah, there we go. That's where I'm going to be putting it. That is where I will be putting it. Okay. Hikari's first chapter is emotional. It has grand scale. It is epic. It has, like, it really, really does kick off his first. Like, the first chapter, it kicks it off. Then, kind of like Ochette's too, you build up all these things, and then you go and you beat up again. And I think Hikari Chapter 1 was the best Hikari chapter. It kind of peaked at the very beginning, but it was very, very good. I love that Hikari just, like, is one of those princes that, like, loves everyone in his village, so I loved that. Alright, next let's get into the Cross Paths and the Scent of Commerce. I'll rush these because they're all kind of boring, but first is going to be Ochette and Castti. It's going to be right here. A fun little... The reason I'm going to put Olberic above is because, like, the first 5 minutes are really good. This is a fun little story with good interactions, but nothing too impressive. Whereas, like, Olberic 1 still had some very good, like, moments. Next, let's see. What is this? Partitio and Osvald 1. Yeah, that's going to be very bottom of C tier for me. It's not... like, the interactions are fine, but wait, that isn't... Nope, this is Partitio and Osvald, sorry. Throné and Temenos 1 is actually going to go in B tier above Tressa. That one is actually pretty intriguing. I thought it was interesting that the treasure was like a human, and like there's actually a little plot twist in here, which is nice, and it built up for the final chapter a bit. But yeah, Partitio and Osvald, though, that one's just kind of boring. Partitio and Osvald are very fun talking to each other, but definitely the Cross Paths 2 for them is better, and it's just very mid. It's really just an annoying fetch quest. Next is going to be Agnea and Hikari 1, which is also going to be... it's better than Ochette and Castti 1, because she actually has a little bit of plot relevance. Let's be honest, Wooly Ooly has no plot relevance. He's fun, but he has no plot relevance. So, this lady was a sister to one of the people from Hikari Chapter 1, and I liked that character, so seeing her is kind of fun, but nothing too good. Alright, Scent of Commerce routes, they're mostly going to be near the bottom. You get the boat, so that's more fun than a boring fetch quest, and then this fetch quest is a boring fetch quest, but not as boring of a fetch quest, because there's a more interesting result from it, so. And then the Side Commerce, I think, is actually quite a bit better, but not that much better. Actually, no, not even quite a bit. For now, it's just going to go along with these. I put 2 chapters in the middle of these, but it's a little interesting thinking about, like, oh, your greatest power is just your mind or whatever. It's kind of a fun little story, and it isn't annoying like this one, or it isn't just getting a boat like this one, but it's also not that good at either. All right. Next is going to be Ophelia Chapter 2, which is a solid B tier for me. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say, but it's also not impressive, really. It's saving some kids, and it just took me back to elementary school when people would get into stupid fights and then they'd reconcile in like an hour. It was kind of fun, but really, after the emotional chapter 1 and how much I loved that, and then chapter 2 is just saving some kids from their issues. Really, like, I mean, friendship issues can be very interesting, but not here. And it was a little disappointing. I was really excited for chapter 2 after chapter 1, so I don't really know what to say here. It's just mid. It's still more interesting and more emotional than, like, saving that dumb kid from Olberic's village. But it's still, like, top of B tier. I still like it more than most people do. I didn't put it in D tier like a lot of people do, but it's still not too good. Alright, next is going to be Ochette 2, which is going to be at the very bottom of S tier. It is really good. I love Ochette 2. Collecting the 3 beasts is just, it does a great job of building up into the climax, whereas a lot of the other Octopath 2 stories didn't really, they peaked in the penultimate chapter, but I felt like Ochette 2 is just building toward the epic grand finale. I thought finding the beast was fun, and of course Ochette just interacting with anything is just hilarious. So the fact we get 3 separate Ochette stories in one chapter, that already makes it really fun. Is it like way better than it's going to be bottom S tier, but still very fun. It's got like a little Pokemon vibe to it too, so it's nice. It's nice. It's great. Alright, next is going to be Cyrus 2, which I'm going to put right behind Cyrus 1, because I think introducing the character was a little bit more interesting, and the Far Reaches from Hell, just the intrigue of that was more interesting in Chapter 1. Chapter 2 was cool. A lot of people say it's so good, and I'm just like, it's fine, I guess. Just someone uses dark magic on themselves and becomes a monster. I mean, that's kind of happened before. I was surprised, I will say that, but it wasn't anything too impressive for me. So right at the bottom of A tier is going to be where I'm putting Cyrus 2. Alright, Castti 2 is going to be a little bit higher. I'm just going to put it right above Castti 1. Like, my Uncle Logan absolutely adores this one, and I didn't really feel the same way. I thought it was good. I thought it was emotional, and I thought it was some good build-up for the next 2 Castti chapters. But still, Cassie's kind of a boring character here. It's not really till chapter 3 where she becomes really interesting. And yeah, I do like that she saved the enemy, and that she saved the enemy of this town, and she also saved this girl's, well, tried to save this girl's mom, and then you get to meet the main villain and stuff. But like, it's good. It just wasn't as good as, like, my uncle hyped it up a little bit and was like, I cried during this one, and I was like, dude, I'm excited for that. And I was like, I didn't really feel connected to the characters at all. I really didn't care. So I don't know, maybe it's because I've seen so many games where there's some like person in bed and then you have to cure them or whatever, and I feel like there were just better versions of that story done. So I don't know, but whatever. It's good, but it's not too good. Alright, Therion 2 is kind of trashy, one of the worst. Honestly, I used to say it was better than Olberic 1, but this is just one big annoying fetch quest. Actually, I'm going to put it behind. Yeah, I'm going to put it right here. I've changed my mind. This is my least favorite chapter in Octopath 1. It's a boring fetch quest for most of the chapter, and then you break into, guess what? Another mansion. Wow, I'm so excited. And then it is a little interesting, I guess, that it's already been stolen, but I don't know. I didn't even think, like, a lot of people are like, the boss was interesting. I was like, nah, I don't know. None of the characters in Therion's story really interest me that much, so, especially not Therion. I don't know, whatever. It's fine, I guess. Alright, Temenos 2. I love Temenos 2. This is going to be... Why did I forget so many freaking chapters? I mean, I guess there's a lot, but I didn't write that many. Okay, anyway. I'm going to put it there. Yes, that's where I'm going to put it. Temenos 2 solves the mystery from the first one in a very cool way. Vados the Architect was a very cool character. Getting some more of those. Building up into, by far, one of my favorite Octopath chapters, Temenos 3. Absolutely love this chapter. Did a great job with the mystery. Probably the best Crick and Temenos banter in his story, which Crick and Temenos are literally the best. So I loved this, but, you know, not my top Like, not very, very top of S plus or anything, but it is still a very, very good chapter. Alright, next is going to be Olberic 2, and this is where they're going to be fighting in a tournament, and this is going to be right here. Nope, not right there. There we go. I really liked this chapter. There was a lot of battles. It was fun. It wasn't like Hikari 2 does this in a much more gritty and dark way. This is just like a whimsical tournament fight. It's not a fight to the death type tournament, really. It's just a fight to fight tournament, fight for glory type tournament. So it was very interesting playing Olberic 2 and then playing Hikari 2 and just comparing them. I think they're basically just as good. I think I like this one a little bit better because there are more boss fights. It's more fun. Hikari 2 has better themes. But anyway, I just love tournaments. Anytime there's a tournament in a game, I almost always really like it. So, like FF Dimensions 2. Sorry, not FF Dimensions 2. FF Dimensions 1, that was a terrible tournament. But otherwise, most of them are very good, and I really liked it. Anyway, I'm going to be putting Osvald 2 right above Osvald 1. It's basically just one long chapter. Really have much to say about it. I like the Emerald sacrifices himself, and I like the joke about the canoe freezing the straw to make an ice canoe. But otherwise, it's just kind of running away, and there are much better like chase scenes and games and stuff. So I just thought it was kind of mid. All right, Primrose 2 is my least favorite of the Primrose stories, but it's still going to be an S tier. So honestly, it's still very good. But wait. Not as good as Throné. Never mind. It's good. Just building off the first one, it is very cool. It's not like the most impressive, but it's just dark, gritty, and cool. It's not like super innovative or anything, but I don't know. Primrose's whole story was just kind of epic to me, so that's where I'm going to be putting it. Let's move it down here. I changed my mind. I'm moving it down there. And yeah. Alright. Partitio 2 is going to go right below Agnea 1. This was a fun story. It starts to introduce how... what is his name? Partitio. Why did I just forget his name? How Partitio is going to be saving the world from poverty. It's great. I love it. And one of my favorite dungeons in Octopath series. It's just a unique one, but still, this isn't too impressive. I mean, they build a steam engine, or like it kind of gets stolen from Rock, and then they're like, okay, let's buy it, and it's fun. I really like the dungeon. I like the characters because Partitio is awesome, but it's still kind of basic, so I'm going to put it right there. All right, next is going to be Alfyn 2. Basically, the rest of Alfyn's story is S plus for me. This is going to be the very bottom S plus tier, but my favorite book is basically just a more in-depth version of this chapter, Mark of the Plague by Kevin Sands. I've mentioned that in a bunch of videos already, but probably annoying you at this point if you're a returning fan. But anyway, check that book out if you like this chapter. But anyway, the Evil Apothecary, I saw it coming from like 18 miles away, but it was still really cool. But my favorite part of this chapter was Alfyn talking to that girl with the seashells. That made me cry, dude. I was crying along with Alfyn, and that's when I realized me and Alfyn are pretty similar. But honestly, this is where I really started falling in love with Alfyn's character, and is why Alfyn is my favorite Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 combined. He's my favorite character. But anyway, this is really what made me start to love Alfyn. I really liked the story, even though it's kind of predictable. There's a lot going on here. It was great. Chapter 3 and 4 are better, but this is still S plus tier for me. I love Alfyn, so honestly. Oh, right. Next is going to be Agnea 2, which I'm going to be putting in S tier, and I'm going to be putting it right here. Nope, right here. Agnea 2 is the most relatable, the most relatable chapter in all the series to me. This is literally like me, except instead of dancing, playing the piano and singing. Like, I love performing people, but there's always those moments where you get into performances and then something bad happens, some drama. You know, I actually totally understood everything that went on in this chapter. I really related to it. which is a good thing, but it's also a double-edged sword because I was like getting some PTSD here. But the gameplay isn't too good, but I love all the cutscenes. It's super fun. Yeah, the gameplay isn't the best, but it's very relatable to me, and that's why I'm putting it this high on the list. Definitely, yeah, I really liked it. So, mostly because it's relatable, because the gameplay is kind of boring, and it's like fetch quests, because you have to go get someone, walk back, go get someone, walk back. But I really just love the scenes in this one, so yeah. Alright, next is going to be... Wait. Oh my gosh. Y'all. I said Therion. Why do I always make mistakes like this? The whole time I was talking about Therion, but I meant Tressa. Alright, let's move Tressa's to A tier. This is where I'm going to put it. Let's see. Tressa 2. Yeah, that's a good place to put it. I liked this story better before I played Partitio's, but... Here, let me just put this back where I put it, like, there it was. But yeah, Tressa's story, her second chapter is very cool, but once I played Partitio's chapter, I was just like, okay, that's just way better. Like, it took what happened here and made it way better, but it's still fun. Her and Ali, it's fun, and then you get that really stereotypical, like, I need money villain at the end. It's a fun little story, but it's not as, like, interesting or thought-provoking or anything as a lot of these other ones, so it's still fun, but, yeah, not too great. Alright, let's move on to, what even is this? I can't even tell. Oh, this one? Oh, that's Throné 2. I love Throné 2. Throné 2 is going to be right here. Very top of S tier. Throné 1 was probably... I'm going to put Throné 1 above, but I'm going to keep this here. Throné 1 just introduced it all and was better, but I really loved the mother's route, especially here. The father's route was interesting and cool, but the mother's route here was very intriguing. It was like Princess Bride shiz, so I really liked it. It was cool. Yeah, I'm mostly just going to say it was really cool for Throné, because that's really what it comes down to. Alright, Haunted 2. Ugh, Haunted's whole story. Just mid as sin. Where is it? I think it's the best in C tier, but still not too good. Mostly because that one character you meet is kind of funny. Other than that, though, again, it's just like Haunted 1, but with a funny character, so... 1 through 3 for Haunted are basically the same. Although Chapter 2 does introduce what actually happened to the master and stuff, so I guess it's fine. Haunted didn't do it for me. Her story, her character did it for me, not her story. Anyway, okay, Hikari 2, I already talked about this earlier. Just not as fun as Olberic 2, but basically the same vibe. I think it was more interesting and more cooler. Like, the scenes were definitely better and stuff, but I have fonder memories of Olberic 2 than Hikari 2, so I'm going to put it right there. Alright, next, let's move on to Cross Paths again, which, again, I'm kind of bored of these. Ochette 2 is just weird as heck. I didn't really understand what was happening here. I'm going to put it right here. I don't know. There's like some, like the shadow came or something out of nowhere, and then it kind of just like ended. I don't know. I don't understand what happened here. Better than this boring fetch quest, or this boring fetch quest, but still not very good. Alright. Throné and Temenos 2, I think, is a little bit better than Throné and Temenos 1. A little more intrigue, and actually, finally, a slightly interesting dungeon in Octopath, so it was fine, but nothing crazy. Next is going to be Partitio and Osvald 1. Partitio and Osvald 2, which I'm going to put at the bottom of B tier. Just for how freaking funny this one was. Like, when Osvald and Partitio start arguing about coffee, it was hilarious. But other than that, this chapter kind of is not that great. But it's funny enough that I didn't want to put it in C tier, so pretty dang funny. I liked that argument. It was fun. Alright. Hikari and Agnea. Agnea and Hikari 2 is probably the best of the... Which, the fact that the best of the cross paths is in B tier is kind of sad for me. Here's hoping to, if they make an Octopath 3, which they better, or else I'll cry. If they make an Octopath 3, I hope they do it a little bit better with the cross paths. I know it was definitely a good idea. I loved the idea, but none of the... I feel like the stories could have been more interesting. I feel like the final chapter and the cross paths could definitely use some work here. But there's always going to hopefully be an Octopath 3. Maybe they'll refine it a bit there, hopefully. But this one's fun because it's the one that actually relates the most to something else that we see in a previous chapter. Like I was saying with the first one, we get to meet the sister of one of the characters from Hikari's story. But here, there's a vendetta. There's personal reasons for this. So it's like an interesting story. I'll put it above Ophelia, actually. Yeah, there's some like cool personal stuff here. But there's also some dumb fetch quest stuff again. So I think it's interesting. There's some cool backstory, but it's nothing too impressive. It kind of reminded me of like Yelena from Hawkeye and stuff. But yeah, it was fine. It just wasn't too special. All right. Ophelia 3. Okay, this one is really weird. I put this one in S tier originally, but I'm going to drop it down to A tier right here. The thing is, a lot of the chapters kind of boring. I mean, yes, there's a ransom, which is cool. I will admit it's cool, but it's not too special. It's mostly kind of like, it's like what I was saying about Tressa 1, where like the chapter is not that great, and then the last 5 minutes or whatever is awesome, except here the chapter is just actually pretty solid. So it's not S tier for me, really. I was originally having it like halfway through S tier, and then it dawned on me that I don't really agree with that. But like the first part of the chapter is interesting in theory, not as cool on paper. But also, yeah, the last few minutes set up chapter 4 of Ophelia, which is a great chapter 4. So Ochette 3. Absolutely love this chapter. I'm going to put it right below Partitio 1. This is probably, personally, the one I think is the most epic. I mean, Hikari 1, okay. Hikari 1 is epic. Olberic 4 is epic. But Ochette 3 just felt like the biggest scale to me. It was super fun. There's so much payoff from the legendary beast, from your master, from your partner you didn't choose. And honestly, it just felt like an epic invasion. I don't know. I felt like, and this was the one, I feel like the one Octopath 2 finale that really, really did stick the landing. I feel like, as I've said before, Octopath 1 definitely had the better finales, even though I think Octopath 2 generally had the better chapters. But yeah, I think Octopath 1 stuck the finales a lot more often, but Ochette 3 pays off everything it was supposed to in an awesome way. It's very epic. Whereas a lot of the other finales are just kind of like, oh, now let's beat someone. After all the cool stuff happened in Chapter 3, it's like, oh, let's beat someone. But like the whole time you're wondering what the Night of the Scarlet Moon's going to be like. You're wondering how the legendary beasts are going to play into it. And you get a fight with them, and it's cool. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to Cyrus 3, which is going to be in S tier. Wait, Cyrus 3 is definitely not in S tier. Sorry, I thought this was Cyrus 4. Cyrus 3 is definitely going to be in B tier right there. This was a plot twist that I saw coming, and it wasn't even that well executed. Like, it kind of existed, and then you kind of just, like, killed the guy, and then it kind of just ended because, yeah, and then there's another plot twist in Chapter 4, which I didn't see coming as much, but I kind of saw coming, but that one was a lot more, like, well executed, but this plot twist was kind of dumb. And another, like, this is a thing that has happened 3 times in Octopath for me. You get thrown into, like, prison, and you instantly leave, and there's nothing interesting about it. This happened in this one, it happened in Hikari 4, and it happened in Osvald 1. But Osvald 1 also has great flashbacks and stuff, but here, you're literally, the point of the chapter is you're finding who bound the far reaches of hell. Like, you're literally trying to figure out who put the book together. Like, that wasn't really that interesting. Like, honestly, I mean, I really like Cyrus's Chapter 4, but this is definitely the worst Cyrus chapter, in my opinion. Alright, Castti 3, here it is. My favorite Octopath Traveler chapter of all time. The flashbacks were amazing. The character setup was amazing. This chapter was just so epic. The boss, not the boss. Was there even a boss? I can't remember if there was a boss in this chapter. I don't think there was. Anyway, The story, though, is fantastic. The villain was great. It really just felt like the best, like the chapter that they put the most effort into. It was so cool. I feel like it was too good, though, that Castti 4 was kind of just eh. But this was so good. My favorite Octopath Traveler chapter. Alright, speaking of good chapters, though, Tressa 3 is one that I feel like a lot of people don't love, that I do love. So I'm going to be putting it right here. Captain Leon's story was just very interesting to me, and I felt like it was way more interesting than anything that actually had to do with Tressa. I really liked that he found the true treasure, and that like he went from being a pirate to being a merchant to honor his friend's past. And yes, the boss is probably the like most forgettable boss in the game. Maybe not. One of the most forgettable bosses in the game, though. But that's not really what this chapter is about. The boss is kind of just there to add some gameplay to it. But really, Captain Leon's past was just very interesting to me, and I liked it a lot. It was fun, it was heartwarming, and it shows a redemption arc, so I like that. Alright, Temenos 3, another one of my favorite chapters in Octopath. Man, I could talk about this one for hours, gonna be honest. But I'm not going to, because I don't have that type of time, and you don't have that type of time. But the Felsen Ruins route just like perfectly sets up the final chapter. It's very intriguing. And then the the Stormhail route. My man Crick. Oh my gosh. Like, Crick is probably my second favorite character in the series. And then I knew the plot twist was coming, but this is probably one of the first times I've ever known the plot twist was coming, and it just... I still, like... Usually when I see a plot twist coming and it actually happens, I'm kind of just bored, but here, I was so mad at the game, and then it goes through all the flashbacks, through all the awesome things he said. Bro, I just literally, like, it was like 5 a.m., and I literally stood up and threw my Nintendo Switch. I don't throw my Nintendo Switch. I mean, that's an idiot move, but here I was just so mad Crick died. It wasn't as good as Castti 3, but it's close. It's really close. Like, it's that good. I love this chapter. Alright, Olberic 3 is awesome. I'm going to be putting it... where am I going to put Olberic 3? Right above Olberic 2, I think. Yeah, there we go. Olberic 3 is like an epic invasion type thing. It's kind of like a lesser version of Olberic 4 or Ochette 3 or Haunted 4. Like, it's got that like invasion vibe. It isn't as fun as those ones, but it's the plot where it really counts. There's 2 bosses as well, which is nice. But the plot with... Oh, Earhart! That's his name. It's been on here the whole time. I've always wondered what the name of his friend was. And it literally says on the freaking... Oh my gosh. I'm the worst. Anyway, Earhart just made this whole story really fun. And they forgive each other. And it's awesome. I love it. You get to see more. You finally get some of that freaking hex stuff from the first chapter. It finally starts happening here. The whole time I was just pissed off. Sorry. That Olberic 1 was like super underwhelming, and then Olberic 3 came and just like remedied that for me. I was so happy. I mean, the tournament didn't really do that for me either, but it was just really fun, so I didn't really care. But chapter 3 finally really started Olberic's story, and it was great. I loved it. Alright, Osvald 3 was just mid. I'm going to put it below Cyrus 3, I think is where... Yeah. I do think it's better than this one, because you do get 2 boss fights, which is nice. But basically, it's kind of like Cyrus 3, but a little less interesting. Instead of there being a plot twist, you get to meet a character, which meeting the character is interesting, but like not too interesting meeting your assistant or whatever. And the fact there is a plot twist makes Cyrus 3 a little better in my opinion. But still, Osvald 3 is just mid. Just basically the definition of mid. There's not anything too special here. And like Cyrus 3, it's just a chapter that is there to move you on to the next chapter. It's just like a stopping point on the way, and it's not like the ones where they progressively build are awesome, but when it's like, oh, I need to go to this town to find out where this person is. It's just a little bit of filler there. And I mean, I'm glad we got introduced to the assistant, but then also I'm still mad that the assistant is taking care of Osvald's daughter instead of him himself, so I don't really know. Yeah, it was just a mid-chapter. It wasn't bad. I mean, there were 2 bosses. I'm not complaining, but it was still just, eh. All right. Primrose 3, I'm going to be putting... I'll put it right here. Definitely better than Primrose 2. It's really just the plot twist and the great backstory. But, I mean, there are definitely better backstories that you can have in... No, I'm going to be putting it right here. I would just put it right above Chapter 2, but then I'm thinking about how this backstory is probably still better than Captain Leon's backstory, so I'm just going to put this weird little gap in there. But yeah, Primrose 3 is really good, but it's not like S+ tier for me. It's not nearly as good as... I mean, it's still better than Chapter 2, but it's not quite as good as Chapter 1 or 4, so it's a good chapter. It like throws you into Chapter 4 very well, but yeah, not quite the best around. All right, next is going to be Partitio 3, which I'm going to be putting right above or below. Right above. Below is what I meant to say. I don't know how I messed that up. Right below Partitio 2. Partitio 2, yeah, has a better dungeon and stuff, and it's probably more fun. But that little montage when you go around and it's playing one of my favorite songs of all time, Partitio's theme. It's like da dun dun da dun 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 da 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 da, and then it's playing that, and you're meeting up with all these old friends and stuff. I really liked that part. And you get to make a department store. It's just such a fun little adventure that it's not groundbreaking. You're just starting up a store. And I think Partitio definitely does more interesting things with his with his merchant abilities. He definitely does more interesting things than starting a department store, but that montage is still one of my favorite moments in the series. The rest of the chapter was pretty boring. I mean, yeah, there's that reveal that he was, but also this was probably the most predictable plot twist ever. Like, come on. Why would the story even care to just have us talk to some random person in the bar if it wasn't actually him? I don't know. Starting the department store was cool, and I loved the part where you went back and recruited all the people. But if Partitio's theme wasn't there, I wouldn't have even loved it that much. So basically, I loved Partitio's theme. So, I don't know. It's a good chapter. It's not like the best, though. All right, Chapter 3 of... What even is this? Oh! This is Alfyn. I was like saving a thief. I was like, is that Therion? No. Oh, yes. This is a great chapter. Dude, this made me question all of my morals. And it was so good. That's all I'm going to say. There's nothing else that needs to be said. It's just that good. It's so good. It makes you question your freaking morals. All right, Agnea 3. Finally, we get to talk about it. The only D tier, the only crap that you can find in Octopath. Giselle's traveling troupe is about as boring as a stick. Sorry, no offense if anyone likes them. I think they're boring. It's basically just a way worse version of Agnea 2. A way worse version of Agnea 4. It didn't need to exist. It's the only one where I literally finished it and was like, why was that in the game? They did not need that whatsoever. It added almost nothing to the story. And they kind of just like cheer you on in the final chapter. They don't really do much. And they're just not interesting. Like the Chapter 4, the little girl from Chapter 4, she's cool. The piano player from Chapter 2, I freaking love that guy. But Giselle's traveling troupe is boring, and that's the whole the whole focus of Agnea 3. My least favorite Octopath Traveler chapter of all time. The only saving grace about this is that the village looks pretty cool, but even still, the other villages in Tropu Hapu or whatever it's called. No, not Tropu Hapu. That region, the whole... I don't even know what it's called. Y'all, I don't know. But the whole, whatever, island. Toto Ha Ha, thanks. Thank you. There we go. I got it. That whole region, it's probably still the most boring village around there, so honestly. Bad chapter. Alright. Therion chapter 3 was good. The backstory was fine. I totally saw it coming. Like, a thief betraying another thief, I wasn't emotionally impacted by that. I was just like, duh, of course that was going to happen. But let's see, where did I put this? It was fine. I still like it better than... Yeah, I'm going to put it right here. I think it's just a little bit worse than... I was sad that the black market wasn't all that good. And the backstory was nice. It was nice. It was still fun. It was a good boss fight. But also... no, it wasn't a good boss fight. The backstory, we finally get to know a little bit about Therion. It's cool. He got pushed off a waterfall or whatever. It's interesting. But it's not that interesting. I guess dressing up and getting into the black market was kind of fun. But, like, it was just mid. Just definitely mid. Alright. Throné 3, I'm going to be putting right here. It reveals so much crap about... might be my... This does all the setup, and this has a bunch of good plot twists, and this has just some epic moments. But I want to put this one right here. Dang, those plot twists. I mean, it's not even as good as Throné 4 plot twists, which is crazy that it gets better from here, but I don't know, crazy stuff. It's really good, though. Oh my gosh, here we go. Haunted 3. Yay, more Haunted. Yeah, right. Nope, right there. 2, 1, and 3. 1, it introduces the master, so that's a little more interesting. 3, even the characters this time around are kind of boring. At least we get to beat up a dragon or something. That was kind of fun, but I don't know. And it's also the 3rd time doing it. So at this point, I was just bored of going to a town, talking to people, going to a forest, killing a beast. Yay! I'm so having such a fun time. Like, most of Haunted's story just feels like those... It just feels like Tales, like the filler that's in Tales games, just for the heck of it. Like, that's how I felt about, like, this whole story. Like, when you go to a random forest in a Tales game just so you can get to the next town, and that's the only reason, it just wastes your time. That's exactly how I felt about Haunted's whole story, except for chapter 4. So, honestly, ugh. Haunted. Move on. Alright. Speaking of boring chapters, though, we've got frickin' Hikari 3. This is bad. Nah, no, not that bad. I'll put it right there. All you do is you go beat up a guy, his head gets cut off, and the head is brought to your brother. Wow, interesting. At least you get a boss. But at least Therion 2 has some, like, story to it. This just proves that your best friend has become an idiot. That's all that it proves. And you're just intercepting a weapons shipment? But it's not, like, cool. Like, if I'm going to be playing a Star Wars game, sure, I want to be intercepting weapons shipments, getting into lightsaber fights and stuff. But here, it wasn't interesting. And also, it's just gross. Like, anytime someone brings a head to their ruler, I think it's stupid. Like, in the Bible, when, like, John the Baptist's head gets cut off or whatever. Like, no, I'm sick of heads getting cut off. Like, decapitation's gross. Like, I don't like any of this. One of the worst chapters in the series for me. Alright. So, of course, Ochette doesn't have a chapter 4. So, that's why there's 2 Octopath ones in a row. But anyway, Ophelia 4 is a great chapter. I'm going to be putting it right... where is it going here? I think that's a good place for it. Maybe? No. No. It's better than these. Yes? There we go. I think that's where I'm going to put it. It pays off a lot of stuff. It pays off the chapter 3 stuff. Frick this. Yeah, no, I'm going to put it here. It pays off the chapter 3 stuff in a very interesting and cool way. And also, it has a lot of emotion from chapter 1. And it's kind of like a reverse chapter 1 here, where instead of Leona helping Ophelia, It's Ophelia helping Liana. It's cool. It's really good. But it's the emotion, it already happened in the first chapter, and it's coming full circle, and it just happens again, but with the opposite sisters. And yeah, it's just the sisters being introduced in general, like in the first one, I loved so much. But I mean, we had already seen enough of them by chapter 4 that it wasn't as good as chapter 1 in my opinion, but still a very good chapter. I really still did like this chapter. All right. Cyrus 4. Finally, I loved Cyrus 4 compared to the other ones. I will say the fact that you're telling me that nobody ever found that secret hideout when all you had to do was twist a oddly looking circle. That is the most unbelievable thing ever, other than in this series, other than the fact that Tressa would follow Therion breaking into a mansion. But other than that, this is just kind of... Other than that, this is a very good chapter. Where did I put this? Now I'm just getting confused, y'all. Up here? Yes, that's what I'm going to put. Okay. I really did enjoy this chapter. It's the morals. It talks a lot about these two. My favorite part of the chapter, well, first of all, like reading all like the books in that library or whatever is cool. And this is probably the best, second best dungeon in Octopath 1, which is nice. Which isn't saying that much, but it's still good. And then also you take, what am I saying? Frick. I just forgot what I was saying. Oh, yes. The boss fight is fun. It's unique because it's like, I feel like you had to break a lot more shield points and stuff. But the best part is the battle before the battle of words. That was one of my favorite exchanges of dialogue in the series, where they're talking about how Cyrus is like, you're supposed to use knowledge for good and all this stuff. And it kind of sounds like it could be cringy, but it was so well done here. And Cyrus just, I don't know. I love this. The plot twist was a little bit better than in chapter 3 of Cyrus. I don't know. That whole, just, it was kind of epic. All the stuff about knowledge, it was cool. Really, really cool. All right. Next is going to be Castti 4. Is that what that is? Castti 4? Yeah. Castti 4, I'm going to put right here. It was good, but after playing Castti 3, I thought this was going to be a little more climactic. Also, there were a couple of weird things. Like, I don't know why the apothecaries came back as like ghosts all of a sudden at the end. It was really awkward. But other than that, it's a good chapter. I feel like the villain became like 3 times less interesting, though. I feel like he just like lost a lot of his interest here, and I feel like technically it really didn't need to happen. Gonna be honest. Like, I mean, like, I'm glad it happened, but also, like, they could have just killed the guy right then and there in chapter 3, but whatever. Anyway, this is a good chapter. It's a nice finale, but it's not like a great finale in my opinion, so it's very good, but nothing too special. Alright, speaking of chapter 4s that aren't that special, Tressa chapter 4, I'm going to put right here. I do like that one girl is like, of all the treasures I could have in the world, I am going to have one that isn't of monetary worth or whatever. Like, that was cool. It was fine. But once I played Agnea's chapter 5, which is kind of like the Grand Gala versus like the Merchant Festival or whatever, like that one moment was really good and I liked it, but like for some reason we were just fighting some random lady in some random cave or something, and that still doesn't make sense to me. I think it has something to do with Kit the Merchant or something, but still I have no idea. Honestly, that part I really liked like 5 minutes of this chapter. Kind of like Tressa 1, but like I liked this part of the chapter like 8 times more than that part of chapter 1. But again, like the most of the chapter is mid except for that one little scene. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. Alright. Next is gonna be Temenos 4, which I'm gonna put right above Temenos 1, I think. Nope, not right above, right below Temenos 1. There we go. Again, this finale is just like, go to a dungeon, kill the boss. And Caldina was never an interesting villain on her own. It's because she killed Crick and stuff. Like, I really did feel like I wanted to kill her because Crick was one of my favorite characters. But also, you're just fighting one boss, and that's basically the whole point of the chapter. It tries to lengthen it out a bit by like this going through this weird forest, but I don't know. It's like really good because I was so happy to kill Crick, and Caldina is one of my favorite boss fights in the game. But like, I don't know, it just wasn't that interesting. I like to think of the final chapter as like Temenos' true final chapter, like it's chapter 5. But, you know how it is. Like, Temenos 4 is fine, but not too good. Anyway, speaking of chapter 4s, though, Olberic chapter 4 is absolutely epic. And I want to put it right here. Second favorite chapter in terms of how grand the scale is. I think this was definitely more interesting than, like, Ochette's chapter. I'm going to put it right here, actually. I don't think it's as grand scale as I'm going to move this. I'm just going to put these 3 like epic grand scale ones right here. Not as grand scale as these 2 in my opinion, but I feel like it was more interesting. It wasn't as epic or fun to play through, but it was more interesting. I think that's still my favorite or top 5 favorite towns in Octopath. Probably top 3 to 1. It's just very interesting. Very interesting story here. Not quite as fun as Hikari 1 or Ochette 3, but it's very cool. It gave me Salem Witch Trial vibes, so that was really cool. And one of my other favorite books has this vibe, which is also part of that same series called... What is it called? Call of the Wraith or something. So anyway, I don't know. But let's move on to Osvald 4, which is going to be my second favorite chapter in the game. The whole One True Magic thing is super cool. The, 3 plot twists I feel like in this chapter. Finally meeting, Harvey in person. And there's just a lot going on here. I literally was not expecting the daughter to still be alive. I've called, 90% of Octopath plot twists, but this one is not one that I called. And I love the village. I really, really like the chapter. It's very emotional. One of my favorites in the series. Very, very good. Alright, let's move on to chapter 4 of Primrose's story, which I'm going to put right below chapter 1 of Primrose's story. Probably the best... Probably not the best. One of the best dungeons in the Octopath series. Very good. It was the biggest problem with the chapters is a little confusing, but nonetheless, it was still very, very good. I loved it. It was awesome. Not my very favorite, of course, but it was a very good finale to a very good story. So, really liked it. And I really just wanted to kill this guy at this point because he's kind of an idiot. But, yeah, they probably the best written villain in the series. So, very interesting indeed. He definitely had some mental issues. All right. Partitio 4 is going to be near the top of S tier. Not quite on the caliber of those 3 Throné stories, but Partitio 4, the boss was epic, the dungeon was epic, the scenes were awesome, it was fun, and we finally got to save the world from poverty. And then another plot twist. The Rock and Partitio Company. I did not think Rock was going to end up being a good guy. I don't know why I doubted Partitio's amazing merchant skills, but I liked that Rock and Partitio ended up teaming up and that he saved the world by making the steam engine affordable, kind of like a Henry Ford type story here. I really like it. Loved that, but yeah. All right, chapter 4 of Alfyn's story. I like it a little bit less than chapter 3. A lot of people won't agree with me on that, but literally 1% less. Basically just continuation of chapter 3. Very interesting. Ogun is one of the best characters in the series. I would say he's the second best non-playable character after Crick, in my opinion. Probably. I think that's true. I also really... I feel that's one other thing I think I liked about the first game better. I feel like I liked the non-playable characters more. Maybe? That's probably accurate. But anyway, I loved Ogun. He was very interesting, and there's just so much here. It really ended off Alfyn's story strong, and it was a very satisfying conclusion. All right, what is this? This is Agnea 4. This is a good one. Definitely a good one. I'm going to put it right here. It is a good story, getting invited to the Grand Gala, which I still, like I was saying earlier, I don't really know why Agnea 3 even had to exist. And it's like, the whole point is they invited you to the Grand Gala, but then the person who actually, like, matters in the Grand Gala, like, personally invites you, so I think it's kind of weird. But anyway, this chapter was just not as good as Agnea 2, but so much better than Agnea 3. It was really cool because Agnea takes on a mentor just like her mom took on Agnea takes on a student, whereas just like her mom did. And she's just following in her mom's footsteps. You get to see how she's a symbol of hope too. It's a fun chapter. It's not really too special, but it's definitely well made and pretty fun. Alright, next let's move on to Therion 4, which is probably my least favorite. Yeah, it's my least favorite chapter 4 in the series. My least favorite final chapter in the series. I'll put it above Castti 1. I'll put it above Therion. Not Therion. Agnea 4. It was fun. You get to break into a place and you get to beat up Darius. And then the part where Darius gets betrayed just like he betrayed Therion. And the part where Therion learns to trust is good. But I just felt like Haunted and Olberic did a much better job of having an epic finale. And as much as this chapter is probably overall more solid than Tressa's story, I really just loved that one moment enough in Tressa's chapter 4 that I like it better than this one. I don't know. Therion's story as a whole is pretty mid. I mean, not obviously it's not all the way down here like Haunted's, but yeah, probably my least favorite final chapter in the whole series. So, speaking of final chapters though, we got Throné's chapter 4, which is absolutely epic. I don't think I placed it as high as I should have in the last one, but where do I want to put it here? Where did I put it? Put it down. Put it above Olberic 4? Yeah, that sounds like a good place to put it. I'll put it here. Dang. There's a secret village, and this whole time, the best freaking plot twist in the whole series, in my opinion. But yeah, other than that plot twist, actually finding the secret village was cool, but the gameplay and the dialogue isn't It's really cool, though. It's not, as fun as these ones or as, epic as these ones. But, it is very good. Definitely top tier here. I'm going to put it behind Olberic. Because that town is really cool. And this town is cool, but it's also kind of empty and boring, so. But, yeah. Throné 4 pulled off the whole story. And one of the best parts is I did not know it existed because I was chapter 1... Part 1 and 2 of Chapter 2 and Part 1, that was 5, because that's what most people had. But then Chapter 4 existed. I was yes, more Throné. So that was awesome, but yeah. Alright, Haunted's Chapter 4. Finally, I loved a Haunted chapter. I didn't even just like it, though. I, really did love it. I was super shocked. I was literally in shock because I really did like Haunted 4. I put it right here. Yeah. It is just epic. It's grand scale, and Red Eye probably is still my favorite chapter boss in the series. Maybe. Might be true. Is it true? That's going to be a hard thing to think about, but it probably is. I really like that they made it personal, but you also were saving a town. It was cool. Also, there was a little bit of suspense when the guys walked in and got turned into stone. And I love that in this game, getting turned into stone isn't just some casual thing that happens to, some random bird can turn you to stone. Oh, some random golem can turn you to stone. Where they kind of ended up doing that again in Octopath 2, which is kind of sad. But I really do think that it's cool that we finally, getting turned into stone is a big deal. That was cool. Red Eye is definitely an awesome boss. Really loved that boss. And it was just a good, solid, intense chapter the whole way through. Yeah, that's good. I don't think it's as intense or fun as like these four. Like these just are grander in scale and stuff. But this was still a very solid chapter. It's very interesting to go from 3 chapters of C tier to go right to S tier for chapter 4. I did not think I was going to like it at all. Like I was super surprised. And yes, they're going and beating a monster, and it's in a cave, at least not in forest again. But still, the monster meant something. Heck, every chapter could be a monster if the monsters had a personal connection to the character. I wouldn't care. I'm fine with beating up monsters as long as they matter. But beating up random monsters in a forest, I couldn't care less. Here, it was great. So, yeah. Alright, now we're on to the chapter 5. We are so close to the end. Oh, nope, never mind. Let's talk about Hikari 4 really fast. I thought this was Osvald 5 for a second. Hikari 4 is pretty good. I think. Yeah, it's good. I'm going to put it... Let's see. Yep, that's where I'm going to put it. The flashbacks are good. I really don't think that Rai Mei was even a necessary character. The flashback was good, though. We get some Shadows hold going on here and stuff. Again, a stupid getting thrown in prison for, like, no reason. But this still was kind of an epic chapter. Like, you fall off a bridge, you get thrown in prison. But, like, I just could not care less about Rai Mei. She's not interesting to me. Like, I'm sorry if any of you guys like her, but this whole chapter was focused around her, and I didn't care about her. Like, Kazan in chapter 2... epic. Like, your friend turning evil and stuff, that was fine. That was pretty good. But Rai Mei was like, I don't know. Like, this chapter I don't feel like really needed to exist, but there's still some good moments there, so. Not like Agnea 3, where I didn't think it needed to exist and it just sucked, but yeah. Alright, Osvald 5 is gonna go right somewhere. Above Temenos 1, I think. So. Yeah, that's where I put it. Beating up Harvey is great, I will admit. But it just isn't as good as Chapter 4. And yeah, it like people get turned into shadow and stuff. So I would put it a bit higher. I'd probably put it like top of A tier. But it just falls down because the ending is so unsatisfying. This whole time he's like, oh, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think she's ready to like meet me. I'm like, dude, she's literally asking and begging for her father to come. You're just being an a-hole right now. Like, you're an idiot. But anyway, other than that, like, you're supposed to be a scholar. Your daughter wants you and you're just not going to be there for her? Sucky. And I was hoping this would be solved in the epilogue, but of course we couldn't. We can't have nice things, so. Anyway, it's fine. It's okay. But it's not fantastic. Alright, Agnea 5. We're so close. We're on the home stretch, guys. Right below Agnea 2. Oh, one of my favorite moments in the series, okay? Most of the chapter's mid, right? It's mostly mid. But anytime someone's down and out in, like, sports movies or... What's another good example? Sports movies. I guess it's even happened in my own life. This one's kind of relatable, too, but... inspirational movies. Like, the cheesy stuff where... you figure out that everyone's got your back at, like, a time of need. So it's like, everyone, you hear them all screaming Dulcinea's name. And then Agnea's just like, I'm done for. And then the screen just pans over to all of Agnea's fans. And they're like, you've got this! And I just started crying because, I relate to Agnea. But, like... Of course, this was emotional, but I mean, the rest of the chapter was, like, kind of mid. But that one moment just put it in S tier for me. I really related to that. And Agnea and Dulcinea, like, teaming up and Dulcinea not being a complete B anymore. I liked that. I was glad Dulcinea finally, like, let go of her ego and stuff. And yeah, the final bits of the chapter were absolutely awesome. And it was a great finale. It paid off everything it needed to. But still, it's just a girl dancing on a stage. Like, I mean, yes, it's relatable. Like, this is what I would have been. I would have been the one whose final chapter would be on a stage not dancing, like singing or something, or playing the piano. Like, that would have been me. Like, I get it. Like, it's a good story, but nothing, like, too fantastic. Alright, Hikari 5 is good. Probably my, maybe not least favorite. Maybe slightly second least favorite. That's what I'm trying to say here. Second least favorite final chapter in Octopath 2. It's good, but I feel like Hikari 1 just had such grander stakes, even though Hikari 5 should have been grander. I mean, like, it still has good stakes, it's still fun and all that, but it's not even close to the stakes of even, Haunted 4, in my opinion. Like, sure, like, you're invading the town and killing your brother or whatever, and it's kind of cool, but, like, for all that setup, it was just kind of mid compared to what I thought it was going to be like. And Hikari 1 and 2, I was kind of done with Hikari's story after 3 and 4. They just kind of failed me after how good 1 and 2 were. And 5 was fine, it ended good. My favorite part was when Kazan freaking summons a tornado with his, like, knowledge. That was epic. Everything else was just mid, though. No offense. And it just ended up being, like, an anime, like, showdown. Like, I fight for my friends. I'm like, bro, where, like, did you just put on a Tolton skin or something from Lost Odyssey? Like, dude, you went from being, like, freaking, like, epic prince who, like, protects his country to being the typical anime protagonist. He's like, I save my friends. I fight for the right. And I'm just like, Hikari, you were one of my favorite characters at first, and now you're probably my least favorite character in the game. Like, bruh. Anyway, whatever. And then the final chapter of Octopath 2. We're almost done, guys. This is probably like 2 hours long at this point. I don't even know what time it is. But the final chapter of Octopath 2, I am going to put right above, where is it? Partitio 4? Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yep. Right above Partitio 4. It was awesome. Great mysteries. It was basically Temenos 5. Awesome boss fights. There were many of them. Cool mysteries. It was fun, like reading all the cool journal entries and stuff. All that would probably give it S+ tier. And they freaking ruined it with the epilogue. I'm sorry, but that epilogue was trash. Like, okay, not complete trash, but they all go and see Agnea's show. Wow, really? That's how I forgot about this. I didn't mention this on my last video. I do like that the name of the song was Octopath Traveler. That was kind of fun and cool. Other than that, though, oh my gosh. We're just going to see Agnea's show and sing hi to everyone again. Like, I want to know what happened to Throné after she was free. I want to know what happened to Osvald's daughter. I want to know what happened to Temenos. Like, is he, like, still mourning Crick? Is he... What has he moved on to? What happened to Partitio? Show me the steam engines around the world. Like, show me the whole point of why we even went through this story. Don't show me Agnea singing. I'm sorry, I love watching performances, but really that's how you're going to end off this game? You end off the final chapter with this? If they ended off the final chapter better, I'd probably freaking put it here. Or here. Or here. Nope, not there. Here. Like, I would have put it high. But as it is... It's still S tier because the bosses and the mystery is awesome, but they really biffed the epilogue, in my opinion. Oh, I will say, everyone saying the goodbyes was great. But that wasn't really the epilogue. That was the end of the chapter. Like, the epilogue was just bad. Everyone saying their goodbyes was perfect. And I think that going and seeing the show with Agnea still should have been there at the very end. But I just feel like we needed something in between the Agnea thing and in between everyone saying their goodbyes. I just needed to see why I even went through all of these chapters. And that was my big problem with Octopath 1 as well. Like, it ended with the only one that ended really well, in my opinion, was Haunted 4, where, like, she saved her master. That was the whole point, and it felt like it ended. They were talking. They looked off in the sunset. It was fine. But all the other ones, I just felt like something was missing. Like, Therion just walks off in the distance, and I don't know. I just feel like there should have been a little bit more closing. I think that Octopath 1 even did it better than Octopath 2, though, because I knew deep down that it was all going to be resolved. Like, Osvald's part, no. They didn't resolve it at all. I was so mad, but whatever. Anyway, it's a great chapter, but not my favorite. Thank you guys all for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, check out some other videos on the channel. We got other Octopath videos, other RPG videos. Soon I'll be done with all the Octopath videos, which makes me so sad, but I can move on to something else, which will be nice. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, check out rpgrank.com. We got some good articles on there. Once I get monetized, I'm going to go back and do some more articles, but I'm just trying to get a YouTube standing first before I really focus on the website again. We're so close. If you keep watching videos, especially if you made it to the end of this video, I know you're dedicated. If you're one of those fans that's a returning subscriber, but you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I technically would already be in the partner program right now if people had subscribed and stuff, because technically I have like 2,000 returning viewers now, and I'm kind of sad because I don't have that many subs. So sorry, it's kind of weird to say that, but it would mean so much if you would subscribe and comment and like and stuff. You don't even need to ring the notification bell if you don't want to. If you hate notifications like half the people on the planet, don't just sub and turn off the notification bell. That would be great. I just kind of need those subs right now. But anyway, sorry about that. Thank you guys all for watching. If you enjoyed, we also got some merch too. So if you really did like this video, check out some merch as well. And I will link in the end screen the more in-depth version for Octopath 1 and 2. I already went more in-depth than I was hoping I was going to in this video, but I went crazy in-depth on those if you want to see me nerding out even more. But again, thank you guys all for watching, and have a fantastic day. Peace out, RPG nerds.